Zimny Stadium in Piastany. The Soviet Union against Canada. The Soviet Union, in its last 4 games, has just one tie to show for its effort. The Canadian team, after that loss to Czechoslovakia, a 5-1 score on Monday, has rebounded for consecutive victories, 18-3 over Poland. That 6-2 win over the United States and 4-3 over Sweden. Now, if Canada wins this game by 5 goals following Finland's 5-3 win today over Czechoslovakia, Canada takes home the gold. A victory by Canada, 3 goals or less, means a silver medal. If Canada should win by 4 goals, it's a rather complicated procedure to determine whether it's the Finns or Canada that will get the gold medal. They would probably have to haul out the computers to determine which side gets the gold. The game is underway. Canada is assured of the bronze. The puck is fired in by the Soviets. Going back after it is Steve Chazon. He was out of the lineup, suspended for 1 game for his part in that brawl against the United States. Canada dumps it out into the center ice area, broken up by the Soviets. Osipov deflected down into the Canadian zone, and Kerry Huffman is back. He rifles it around the boards into the center ice area to Elnuck, the leading scorer, over to McIlwain, and he is upset as he comes in across the line. Back come the Soviets. Pop off to Osipov into the center ice area. Picked up by the Canadians, and it's dumped back into the Soviet zone. Some good bumping early in this game as the Canadians attempt to gain control in that Soviet end of the rink. They continue the battle behind the net. Canada with some strong forechecking. A shot on goal off the stick of Shanahan, and that was steered to the corner by Ivanenkov. Pinching in from the point, Hogda keeps it in. And now the Soviets gain control, and they start back up. Osipov dodges the check, in across the line. He gets it again, and it's knocked off his stick. Soviets got it to change. Metcalf lines up a high shot off the glass. Good check at the line by Hogda as he steps into the Soviet player and fires it deep into the Soviet zone. There's a whistle on the play. It's offside. Finland, with that 5-3 win atop the standings. Czechoslovakia had a chance to win the gold with a victory. They failed to do so, and Canada is a point behind Czechoslovakia. Sweden, if Canada should lose, would be tied with Canada for 3rd spot, but because Canada defeated Sweden in round-robin play, Canada would automatically get the bronze. At the moment, the Americans are 5th, and the Soviets are in 6th place. This would be the worst performance ever in World Junior play, Sherry, by a Soviet team if they lose this game.
No question. And the Russians, it's been a long time since they've lost 4 hockey games, but they got a chance to lose here to the major power. And that coach for the Russians has got to be talking about it, because Tarasov, the father of Russian hockey, of course, that everybody knows about, especially in our country, has been suggested, and it's been reported in the press that he thinks it's the worst job done by a coach in international hockey. And Don, when you got a guy like Tarasov making those comments, you don't want to go home too early after the tournament, I'll tell you that.
Well, Vladimir Vasilyev is the Soviet coach. There's the assistant coach for the Canadian team, Pat Burns. His team back in Canada, the Hull Olympics. Bert Templeton is the head coach for the Canadian squad. Templeton was here in Czechoslovakia 10 years ago. His team lost. As Fleury cut in as he was set up by Sanapas, and the Soviet goaltender Ivanenkov made the save. Best scoring opportunity of the game so far. A shot and a save by Jimmy Waite. Waite getting an opportunity to play because of a shoulder problem to Sean Simpson that was incurred in that game against Czechoslovakia, and Waite has played strongly for the Canadian team since then. Fleury bumps the Soviet player. Kostichkin in the center ice area. A lead pass is then intercepted. Shesterikov for the Soviets in front, and a shot is fired wide by Zelepukin. Back at the line, the Soviets managed to keep it in. Shesterikov couldn't get a shot away as Wesley got to the puck first. Elnuck dumps it out into the neutral zone. Now Zelepukin comes back for the Soviets. In the slot, a shot to save the rebound. And it's cleared off by Pat Elnick, a draft choice of the Winnipeg Jets. A long lead pass. He was looking for Latta. It was intercepted by Smirnoff. His shot goes wide. Wesley bumped along the boards. He played very strongly in the victory, the 6-2 triumph over the United States. And now in the corner is involved in a bit of a skirmish. As a matter of fact, Wesley, who is the younger brother of Blake Wesley, drafted by Philadelphia in 1979, was chosen player of the game against the USA.
He's done an outstanding job. A key man on our blue line here. I'll tell you what, the Russians, what we have to talk about, as much as we study their films, Don, they study ours. They've gone to some big, strong wingers that play very aggressively and try to work the corners. They've taken a lot from the Canadian game as much as we've taken from theirs.
Our pictures from Piastany being provided courtesy of Czechoslovakian television. Zagorodny waved out of the face-off circle. David Latta, draft choice of the Quebec Nordiques, into the circle now for Canada. The puck comes back to the line, and it's whistled just wide by Popov. It ricochets off the boards all the way down the ice. Onenkov tried to play it around the boards. Latta was there to keep it in. McElwain behind the net, trying to get it out front. It comes to the point. Jason with a shot. It just goes wide. Jason can really fire that puck from the blue line, and that one was right on target, low. And the goaltender, Ivanov, made the save, but a Canadian could not get a stick on the rebound.
Don, you know, Ivanov was the all-star goalie in the Four Nations Cup, but what I want to mention here is we talk about the poor record of the Russians, but they have 10 players in the lineup that play in the elite division in Russia, which is equivalent to our NHL. I mean, they don't have a bunch of guys out here that just bought their skates when they came over, you know what I mean? They got some real good hockey players out here.
Konstantinov played in the World Junior Championships last year in Hamilton. As a matter of fact, there are 8 players in the Soviet team who performed in Canada last year in Hamilton. Back at the line, Jason with a shot. It went off a leg wide, and Huffman has to chase it back into his own zone. Huffman plays it around the boards. Osipov trying to keep it in. It comes back to the line. Galchenyuk unable to keep it in as it's poked to the blue line by Canada's Nemeth. Now in the center ice area, Kurz picks it up for the Soviets, stopped at the line. The Canadians gain possession. 4:21 has been played in this opening period. It is still scoreless, and the whistle on the play, an icing call against Canada.
Now, one of the things you were mentioning is this defenseman, Konstantinov. Is that the way you say it, Don? You know, I'm not a linguist, you know what I mean, or a speech therapist. You're so good at this, I can't get over it. But
you're a good shopper, Sherry.
This guy is some kind of player and a big boy, 6'3". He's a definite. He was rated second, as a matter of fact. Very big goal by the Canadians. A big goal. The puck is dumped in. They beat them to the puck. Make no question of that. Just an excellent. Now take a look. Canada beats him the puck. Now there's the rebound. We talked about the second shot. He puts the deflection right onto the slot. Fleury's there. The goalie's off balance. He's on his back. He looks like a whale on the water. The puck's in the net. You cannot give Fleury, a good player like that much ice and that much net. Take a look now. The puck comes right up. Canada beats the defenseman to the puck. The rebound out in the slot. Fleury says, thanks very much. Give me that much net and I'll get a couple more.
He took the initial shot. Zelepukin with a shot. Rebound. Zelepukin again. Late made the man and score. Testarika on the third shot. He could not afford to give the Soviets a second whack at the puck, let alone a third, and Testarika put it in on the third.
There's no question about that. We talked about this, and most of the goals scored on any hockey game are scored on the second shot. The job is you either have to clear the man or clear the puck. You give them 3. Jimmy Waite makes a couple of big saves in there for us. It's very unfortunate because we had some momentum and the emotion, and now we're back to an even game.
Just 11 seconds after Fleury, a product of the Moose Jaw Warriors, put Canada in front 1-0. banging in the rebound on the initial shot by Mike Keane. The Soviets come back to tie it on the goal by Shesterikov.
There's Jimmy Waite. I'll tell you, one of the greatest saves, one of the big-time saves that we've already seen. There's Jimmy Waite, and what a job he did on that penalty shot.
That was in the game against Sweden in the final minute of play when he robbed Sandstrom on a blazing shot into the top corner. Here's Lasky across the line. He winds up. It's deflected by Monaenkov. The Soviets come back. They're led by Zelepukin. In across the line, Zelepukin is taken off the puck by Chazon, and it's difficult, as we pointed out in our telecast the other night, to hear the whistle because of the jeering from the crowd and the whistling by the crowd. We'll return to Piastani after this. Sean Simpson was in goal for our telecast on Monday, that 5-1 loss to Czechoslovakia. He played very well in that setback. He could certainly not be faulted. And then he had that rotator cuff problem, Sherry, that prevented him from playing. And as a result, Jimmy Waite got a chance to perform in goal, and he has starred since.
They sure have. I'll tell you, both goaltenders have been outstanding. And that was significant in the 82 gold medal, Don, and the 85 gold medal. If it holds over today, we'll see a third one in a few years.
Played in off the glass. Hoggett tried to play it off the boards and out, but it went over the glass and out of play. 1-1 is the score. We have played 5:34 of this opening period.
Well, I got to tell you, this is what it's all about in international hockey. Let's be, a gold medal game. You got 3 periods of hockey, 60 minutes. Ask no questions to score more goals than the other team. And this is what the excitement's all about. I've been through it, Don. You've been broadcasting a number of these games, and if you're not elected for this game, you never are.
There's no question that the emotions are high, and the Canadian team was certainly revved up coming into this one. Keane in across the line with Sanapas. Keane is bumped in against the boards, carries on. Sanapas goes into the corner as well. The two of them battling in there with a couple of Soviet players trying to get it out. Keane does. Keane circling. Still fighting in the corner. Some heavy bumping along the boards in that Soviet zone. Finally, it's Musatov coming up with it. And he starts out for the Soviets. Rink wide pass to Kirsch. Kirsch dumps it in and takes a hit from Fleury as the puck slides into the Canadian zone. Back comes Chazon. Chazon for Sandstrom. He took a hit from Smirnoff in the neutral zone. Good hitting by both sides.
No question, that defenseman stepping up and taking the body like that. They never used to do those things, Don.
Osipov in the corner. Trying to control it. Canada attempting to get it out of there. Chazon battling along the boards with Osipov. Also in there is Galchenyuk. Galchenyuk at the side of the net. Here's a chance for the Soviets. As Kirsch just took a backhand shot. Waite falls on top of it. And now comes pushing in of it, following the whistle. The Canadian player is down as we take a look at the replay.
Now watch the goaltender, Jimmy Waite, stay with him. He comes right out to break the angle on him and said, hey, you're not getting any of this net back. He walked out a little bit too easy. We can't afford to let him walk out like that. But Jimmy Waite is tested again, and he comes through like he's done since he took over for Sean Simpson. And that should not be interpreted, as you alluded to earlier, that Sean Simpson failed. It was the injury that really took him out. The goaltending has just been outstanding. We get a shot here at Kerry Huffman, who was a first-round pick by Philadelphia. He plays for the Guelph Bladers and led them to the Memorial Cup last year. Been one of the outstanding defensemen.
Sitting beside him is Luke Richardson, who hasn't seen a great deal of action in the tournament. He basically has been the 6th defenseman, as the Canadian team has gone with 4 and 5 rear guards. Canada bringing it out into the center ice area. Ivan Korovo takes a hit as it slides down into the Soviet zone. Molekny has been bumped by Turgeon. Korovo comes in there as well, and they tie it up for a face-off.
We're watching Todd David McElwain get up. It's an interesting story. He's from Seaforth, Ontario, and I'd like to think that that whole community of 2200 will be watching him because he's one of their protégés. But he was a walk-on. He was not drafted in the Ontario Hockey League. He was then traded to the North Bay, and what a story he is, and what an inspiration for young people that say that think it might be over. He was, and he has been outstanding here. He centers their line. I've also noticed now, if you take a look, Korbo's moving up there in case there might be some injuries to Lada, but he switched the lines around a little bit.
Back to the point. Wesley keeps it in. Lada took a shot on the leg in that victory over Sweden, and he may be having some problems. And as a result, Korbo has to move up. In the neutral zone, Wesley gains control to Elnick. McElwain was knocked off the puck. Korbo took a tremendous hit, lost his helmet along the boards in the process.
He's a big, strong kid, though. He can take that kind of hitting.
A chance for the Soviets as they steal the puck in the Canadian zone. Davidoff looking in front for Maligny. And it's picked off by the Canadians. They're led by Hogga. Korbo still without his helmet. Hogga tried to slide it through to him, breaking in on that left side. The play broken up by the Soviets. Konstantinov back into his own zone. This young man has a tremendous amount of talent. We'll be seeing a lot of him in the future in international play. He fired that shot just wide of the Canadian goal. Back at the point, the Soviets keep it in. One man back, Metcalf looking in front. Tried to slide it to Keane, and it was broken up by the Soviets and cleared. 8:23 is the time elapsed in this opening period. Here comes Nimitz. Nimitz in front. Metcalf slips deflected. Shanahan gets it, and the net is knocked off at Fleury, the reason for the whistle. We'll return to our coverage of the World Junior Championships from Piastani after this. 1-1 the score. Canada has been outshot so far by a 7-5 margin. It's now 7-6 as that pass by Chazon is right on. A lot of pushing and shoving following the whistles.
There really is a lot of pushing and shoving. There's a lot of chippiness here. And, you know, the Russians, as we talked about earlier, have gone to, you know, a little more dump the puck and go after, not so much regrouping and a lot of figure eights that they used to go into. The Brian Orser, they're not as gifted as Brian Orser either, but, and now we notice after the whistle a lot of pushing and shoving.
Chazon's shot is blocked. 3 Soviets dropped in front of that one. And now they move it out into the neutral zone. Sigurov shoots it into Canadian territory. Chazon is back there after it. He plays it around in the boards for Keane. He's having some problems getting out of there. Fleury comes over to help out and moves it into the neutral zone. And there's going to be a penalty here against Fleury of the Canadian team. That was a penalty after behind the play, actually.
Yes, it was behind the play, and it's unfortunate. Those are the things we talked about, you know, that this team have often said when we're in competition, we're going to maybe get a look at it here coming after. No, the problem is that you can take the hard-working penalties. You can't take those reaction penalties, and it's tough. Because, hey, with all due respect to Fleury, he's taking a lot of heat after, too, but, you know, you just got to have to suck it up a few times here because they're going to try and tempt us into that kind of stuff. He got a slashing penalty, I think, didn't he, Don?
Slashing call at 9:05. The first penalty of the hockey game. The Soviets with the manpower advantage. And one of the things that has stood out in the tournament has been the penalty killing of the Canadian team.
Outstanding penalty. It's the old story. You got to get that specialty teams, your power play and your penalty killing. And if that's very effective for you, the chances are you're going to win.
Galchenyuk flips it over to Popov. A long shot fired wide. Galchenyuk unable to control it along the boards, and Canada dumps it down the ice. Lada out there with McElwain killing off this penalty for Canada. Hoggood and Wesley on the blue line. 1-1 the score. 1:20 remaining in the penalty to Fleury. The pass by Popov broken up by McElwain. And the Soviets have to retreat to try and set up. Pass cross ice, picked off by Lada. Lada takes it in deep, trying to kill off some of that time. Steve Nemeth also out there for Canada. McElwain has gone to the bench, and these two, Nemeth and Lada, have forced the Soviets back into their own zone. Lada goes off. Elnick comes onto the ice. He and Nemeth out there now, but Elnick has gone to the bench. He took a hit there. He may have been hurt. I think he is feeling some discomfort as he goes off. The Soviets at the side of the net trying to set something up. Shesterikov in the corner. Chesterikov back to the point. Tamakov, a shot right on. And the rebound is grabbed and held by Jimmy Waite.
Alec gets hurt. He took a stick there, and it was a high stick across the chest and the leg. And I see are now in front of the net. There's that Konstantinov that we were talking about. He's their captain. That's what that K is for. And without question, one of the premier players. Played 66 games in the elite league in Russia already. He is, without question, one of their leading stars. And he's only 6'4", of course. That's all. With all that skill, I'll tell you something. He's a hockey player.
205 pounds, and every NHL scout who has been here attending the tournament drooling. They would dearly love to not only get his name on their negotiation list, but figure out some means of getting him to Canada or the United States.
Don, if we could bring him home as a free agent in our suitcase, we'd have 21 teams lined up. You can be sure of that. And they'd be fighting in the corners for him.
20 seconds remaining in the penalty to Fleury. Zelepukin against McElwain. The face-off to the left of Jimmy Waite. McElwain has done a good job throughout the tournament in winning those face-offs. He got another, got it back into his own zone. Chazon overskates it. Zelepukin along the boards, having problems there with Nemeth, and Nemeth fires it down the ice. What a tournament Nemeth has had. He came to the Canadian junior team from the Canadian national team, the team that won a silver medal at the Izvestia tournament in Moscow. The two sides now back at even strength with Fleury out of the penalty box. A victory by Canada by more than 5 goals will give Canada the gold medal. A victory will give Canada the silver. A loss and they get the bronze. A whistle on the play as the puck hits the mesh high above the glass.
There's, Canada's playing a very good game. They got some good opportunities here. They're getting some inside chances. And if they just keep working at their game and don't worry about any of the other things, they're going to get more chances. We were talking a little bit earlier about the coach, the Russian coach, and there's a lot more to it. If you remember, he didn't let his team eat after one loss. He didn't let them have breakfast the next day, and then he wouldn't let them have, after another loss, he didn't have the post-game meal. The only thing I can say, Don, I hope they don't eat tomorrow.
Well, we certainly haven't had any complaints in that department. As a matter of fact, we've been eating far too much. The Czechoslovakian hospitality has been great.
Outstanding.
Popov, long lead pass. He was looking for Galchenyuk in the neutral zone, broken up by the Canadians and fired back in. We've remarked a couple of times about some of the chippy play, the pushing and shoving following whistles. Well, these two teams are the most penalized in the tournament. The Soviets have spent 110 minutes in the penalty box, Canada 106. And 12 of those penalty minutes by the Soviets have been incurred by the coach, Vladimir Vasilyev. And this is something very unusual to get bench minors that often.
12 minutes, very undisciplined. You can't expect a team to be disciplined if he's that undisciplined in himself. If he's young, don't ask him to do what he's not doing. That's my theory about it. But hey, he's got enough problems with the losses he's had without worrying about what I got to say.
Chesterikov going after the loose puck. He gets it, tries to center it, knocked down by Huffman. The puck loose in that Canadian zone, and finally it slides out across the blue line. Flipped in by the Soviets. Chazon is there for Canada. Long lead pass into the center ice area. Good move by Shanahan. He's upset as the puck flies into the corner. From the reaction of the crowd, I would say this is a very pro-Canadian audience here in Piastani.
Without question. And all you have to do is spend some time with the people like you and I have, and you'll know that they're very pro-Canadian.
Right in. What a good move by Kirk as he cut right in, and Jimmy Waite was equal to the occasion. Kirk skated around in that Canadian zone, back to the blue line, and then right in, and tested Jimmy Waite. He has made several good saves. Helped off the post. Konstantinov had snuck in from his blue line position and from the slot whistled one off the post.
Kirsch has had 2 great chances, Don. Kirsch played with Dynamo Rigo in the Elite League, and he's quite a hockey player. He's had 2 excellent chances. He's been in all alone on Jimmy Waite.
An icing call against the Soviets as Wesley got back into his own zone. And again, more pushing and shoving behind the play. And we'll return after we pause for this message. coach, Vladimir Vasilyev, not to be confused with the outstanding Soviet player of a few years back, Valery Vasilyev.
He coaches the Kimmich team in the Elite League, by the way. And I'm going to tell you something. If he gets a loss today, he can say goodbye to international hockey. I'll tell you that. He'd be happy to stay where he is, and because when you got a guy like Tarasov who's so highly respected, literally all over the world. Never mind the father of hockey in Russia. There isn't anybody that knows the man or has read about him that doesn't respect him. Condemning him publicly, he's got some problems if he's relying on this sport for a living. I'll tell you that.
Well, that seemed to be so out of character for the Soviets, for the condemnation of the coaching of Vasilyev in the Czechoslovakian press.
Really, and especially publicly, like you say, you know, you and I might pick up the odd word in a private conversation that's expected to be private, but there's been some public condemnation, as you suggest.
Penalties assessed against both sides following that icing call against the Soviets in behind the Canadian net. Wesley, 2 minutes for roughing. Davidoff, 2 minutes for roughing. That comes at 13:55 of this first period with the score tied at 1. The goals just 11 seconds apart. Fleury for Canada at 4:34, and then Shesterikov for the Soviet Union.
And Davidoff, Don, is a brilliant offensive player. Brilliant.
Chazon with a shot from the point. Ivanikov made the save. The puck goes loose in the corner. Galvin moving into the slot. Shot! Saved by Ivanikov.
Ellick has been extremely impressive here. Extremely impressive at this tournament. And I can't say enough about him. He played for the Prince Albert Raiders. He plays for them right now. He's a first-round pick by the Jets. Take a look at him. He moves in here and drills that puck to a nice low shot and picked up by Ivanikov.
Well, CBC Sports has been pleased to provide coverage of the World Junior Championships, the game on Monday against Czechoslovakia, this game against the Soviet Union. Hopefully it will be a gold medal performance by the Canadian team. Canada, with 6 medals in World Junior Championship play since first being introduced to the competition in 1977, 2 of each color.
Well, there's obviously no love lost out here. You know, they're trying to take a pay. They're trying to intimidate the Canadians, and you can be sure that's not going to happen. But
and conversely, the Canadians aren't going to intimidate the Soviets.
That's exactly right, and we can't be goofy about that, Don. You and I talked about that this afternoon in their preparation. They got to concentrate on the game.
From the face-off, back to the point. Hoffman goes into the corner, takes a hit there from Konstantinov. Loose puck in the corner. Canada gets possession again. The Canadians with some aggressive forechecking. Finally, the Soviets bring it out. 14:26 have gone by in the period. Broken up by Chazon. He was looking for McElwain and Alnuk, who were trying to break in. It was broken up by Konstantinov, who got back. Ahead to McElwain. It's deflected into the Soviet zone. And it's Malikov who is back for the Soviet team. Over to his defensive partner. The two of them move it around. Konstantinov and Malikov in their own zone, trying to set something up, trying to trap the Canadians with their forechecking. But they are having some problems getting out of their own end of the rink as the teams play 4-on-4 with players in the penalty box. Davidoff and Wesley. Lead pass broken up by Chazon. Back comes Jet, and this 17-year-old has certainly played well in this tournament, and his stock as a draft choice has certainly risen on the basis of his play here in Czechoslovakia. Smirnov attempted to split the defense. Broken up. Canada comes back. Orlana too far.
Individual play by that young man. Great individual play. The Russians came out. He got forechecked and pressured a little bit. Make no mistake about it. That is a great individual. Watch it. That's pursuit of the puck. Absolute strong pursuit. Skates on him, forechecks him, say goodnight right along the edge. Hey, if you do that in hockey schools and you draw those on blackboards, that's David Lana. What a great play on his part. And he certainly shows his worth why he was drafted by the Quebec Nordiques, as we know already, and a first-round pick. Plays for the Kitchener Rangers. You know, hey, what can you say? That's the kind of individual effort. That's what you look for in championship play. And now the Canadians are looking at a 2-1 lead.
The fifth goal of the tournament for David Latta. An unassisted tally at 15:32. Canada leads by a score of 2-1. Canada will win the gold if they can score a 5-goal victory here. Fleury, he fired it just wide. He got the first goal of the game. If Canada should win by 4, they would be tied with Finland, and then they would have to haul up the computers to determine where the gold medal would go. So Canada can assure itself of the gold medal with a 5-goal victory. They're 4 away from that objective right now. In across the line, Testarikov with a shot that's deflected to the corner. Maligny, one of the 17-year-olds on the Soviet team, takes a bump in the corner. Over to the other side, it's Joseph, he too just 17 years of age. One of the youngest players in the tournament, as a matter of fact. He won't reach his 18th birthday until the 10th of September.
Phenomenal play.
Good. Back to the net, trying to slide it out front. And the Soviet goaltender got a stick there just in time. Popov makes the shot, moves into the slot, lets the shot go. Jimmy waits to save. Hoffman plays it up along the board. Shanahan moving it out slowly for the Canadian team. He was looking for Chazon. It was knocked away from him. 16:59 is the time gone by in this opening period. 2-1, Canada leading. The go-ahead goal by Dave Latta. In across the line, Canada has it. Shot by Stенka. Rebound! They bang away at it. It's still loose. And it's taken back to the net by Hans Ronning. Long lead pass. Broken up in the center ice area. It appeared as though there was a whistle. Some of the players thought there was a whistle as well. But it was the jeering of the crowd. As I've said a couple of times, it's very difficult when these fans here start to whistle and jeer to hear those whistles down on the ice. Malikov to Zelepukin. Zelepukin punches it in. Saved by anyway. And he took that one away from Galchenyuk.
Nice save right along the ice by Jimmy Wade. He looked back to see if it went in because he couldn't feel the puck. I guess that's the goaltender's first reaction, is take a look and see if the light's on. But we'll get a good look at this when he breaks in the middle. He's in there all alone with the backhand right along the ice. Nice save, does the butterfly. The puck's underneath you, Jimmy. Thanks very much, everybody says it. It's still 2-1 Canada.
14-12. The Soviets so far have outshot the Canadian team. But Canada is in front by a score of 2-1. Jimmy Wade has made some tremendous saves, not only in this game, but throughout the tournament. There's another glove save on that shot from the top of the circle. And we'll be showing you highlights of the game against the United States and against Sweden during the intermission. And you'll be able to judge for yourself just how brilliant this 17-year-old goaltender was, making that glove save on the penalty shot by Sandstrom of Sweden to preserve a 4-3 win.
I guess the Russians didn't see that game against Sweden. They keep trying to test his glove down. But this kid hasn't been drafted either. And of course, this is a gold mine this year for this Canadian team for the scouts.
1:57 the time left to play in this first period. 2-1, Canada in front. Hoggett is bumped in against the end boards by Kirsch, manages to poke it free, and Canada breaks out. Led by McElwain with Latta. McElwain trying to go to the outside of the Soviet defenseman Popov. Comes back to the point. Hoggett winds up the shot and blocks. And Wade comes way out of his net into the circle to make the play and clear it out of the zone. The Soviets wait until the player gets onside. There's the recon, but didn't wait long enough.
That's the great example is that Kirsch took a dive. He went down looking for a penalty call there, took a dive, and he cost his own team the chance to come in alone and get a good scoring chance because it took him that much longer to get out of the offensive zone. So sometimes it can hurt you. Most of the benches are very close here down there. Straight well, as a matter of fact, you can't get any closer unless they're at each other's bench. And with the feeling and the emotion that's going on, and the Russian coach being a little bit of a referee baiter, and then the Canadian team well into it emotionally, you can see some heat over there today.
I wouldn't be surprised if Pat Burns, the assistant coach for Canada, is doing a little baiting himself. The Soviet coach Vasilyev fired into the Soviet zone with
Great job. It's just a question of Russian mistakes again. Come on, they're in again in their own end. They make a big mistake. Not very quickly. But Flery makes a great play here when he gets the puck. He's in close and he goes to the short side. You'll take a look at him. He takes it out of and goes to the short side. Just a great. We've seen two great individual efforts. I'll tell you something. The Moose Jaw Warriors got a couple of good young players. They say little guys can play this game. Give me that little guy that we're playing over here in competition, and we're going to be a little better than some of the other teams.
So Canada now leads by 2. Theron Fleury's second goal of the game, an unassisted volley. His fourth goal of the tournament, coming at 18:47. He was an alert forechecker there as the Soviets made an error in their own zone, something you don't see from this Soviet squad that often. Fleury jumped on it, and the native of Russell, Manitoba, makes it a 3-1 game.
The interesting thing about this Russian team, they won the Four Nations Cup. They won the Four Nations Cup. And the only thing they changed, that's beating Czechoslovakia, Finland, and Sweden, and with the same basic team. And the only thing they changed from that since last September is their defense. I think they'll be changing it again.
Well, I think the Finns might be a little nervous right about now because after their 5-3 victory over Czechoslovakia, they may have felt that the gold medal was assured because with Canada facing the Soviets, Canada was forced to win by 5. Not really an ideal situation for the Canadian team, but Canada now leads by a score of 3-1. And if they should win by 4, the two teams would be tied in goals, for and against the goal differential. And then it would require a rather complicated formula, as I said, to determine which side gets the gold medal. Zelepukin in the corner, looking back. Alma coming in on the right side. He tried to go around the Soviet defenseman, and Popov made a nice move to get back. The Soviets starting out on the left side. Yes, off a shot right on, kicked into the corner by Waite. August takes it in against the boards, trying to hold it there, and does for a face-off.
We're getting a look at Fleury right now on the bench and waiting to go on. That he has been outstanding with his quickness, and which is really an advantage with this in international play with the long passes, which is somewhat especially this big ice surface time. And Fred Walker is going to talk to him, I guess, during the intermission, I understand.
Yes, Fred Walker of CBC Radio is working with us on the telecasts. We'll talk to him during the intermission. And back in the studio, Brian Williams and Don Cherry are standing by. Do you think Grape likes this performance by the Canadian team?
I'll tell you what, you can be sure Grape's likes that kind of hockey in the corners, work the front of the nets and work the corners. That's Grape's game, and I'm sure he's excited right back there in the studio right now.
I'm sure he'll be saying, give me a guy like that, Fleury, 5'10", 160 pounds, physically aggressive, bumping people. And indeed, the young man who plays for the Moose Jaw Warriors has been. And he scored 2 goals so far tonight.
You know, that Hoglund kid who's only 5'10" on the blue line's been outstanding. We've seen some big guys in trying to knock him around, and he always takes the hit to make the play, and I'm sure Don will talk about that. That's so important when you got a young kid. You get the big heart, you're willing to take that hit, that's the toughness that you look for.
Just 11 seconds remaining in the period. 3-1, Canada in front. Dumped down the ice by the Canadian team. This will produce another icing call with just 3 seconds remaining in this first period. That Canadian bench has to be pumped up with their performance during the first 20 minutes. They have moved into that 3-1 lead thanks to a 2-goal performance by Theron Fleury and an unassisted tally by Dave Lappa. The face-off back in the Canadian zone to the left of Jimmy Waite.
I guess the people in Russell, Manitoba, where Theron Fleury's from, will be just as fired up as those people in Seaforth, Ontario. but I'd be surprised if the whole country wasn't that excited right now.
Well, wherever you're looking in this afternoon, we hope you're enjoying the action, and this could very well be a gold medal performance by the Canadian team. The first time Canada won a gold medal was in 1982. Jerry Basson was the manager of that team, and then in Helsinki, Finland in 1985. From the face-off, a shot blocked, and there's the horn ending the period. Medvedev took a shot that was blocked by one of the Canadian players after the whistle, but again, it's very difficult to hear the whistle. So after one period, it's 3-1. The Canadian team leading the Soviet Union. Theron Fleury with a 2-goal performance, another by Dave Latta. Shesterikov has scored for the Soviet Union. We have an interesting intermission coming up for you. We invite you to stay with us. We'll be back after this. A full house at Zimny Stadium in Piastany, watching the action, and as you look in on the CBC network this Sunday afternoon, we hope you're enjoying this Canadian try for a gold medal as these 1986-87 World Championships conclude. Czechoslovakian television providing us with the pictures from Piastany, and Jimmy Waite, the 17-year-old goaltender, has performed brilliantly. He let in 1 goal in that first period, but the Soviets had 3 swipes at it before they finally nudged it past him. Shesterikov credited with the goal.
A jam-packed group of people here to watch it. Make no mistake whose side they're on it, Don. I think you alluded to that every time we score, I think they want to see a couple more. And
well, earlier, Czechoslovakia had a chance to win the gold, to clinch the gold, as they faced Finland. Had Czechoslovakia won, the gold medal would have stayed right here. However, Finland won. They defeated Czechoslovakia 5-3. That sets the stage for this gold medal battle. Canada against the Soviet Union. The Soviets don't have a chance for the gold medal, for a medal of any color, as a matter of fact. But Canada, if it can win this game by 5 goals, will clinch the gold medal. If they win by 4, they will be tied with Finland for points, because the 2 teams in round-robin play tied at 6. Then they go into goals for and against, the quotient system to determine which side gets the gold. They'll get out the calculators. It's important not only how many goals you score, but how many you give up. We have skiing coming on Sports Weekend, coming your way later on this afternoon from Switzerland. But right at the moment, we're ready to drop the puck for the start of the second period in Piastany, Czechoslovakia. The Canadian team after the gold medal. The puck in across the Canadian line, and it's a delayed offside called against the Soviets.
Apparently those scores in the earlier games were Finland 5, Czech 3, I guess, Sweden 8, USA nothing, which is really a surprise because that was a medal game. And Poland 8, Switzerland 3. So Poland stays in the A group, and Switzerland goes back to the B group. There'll be joy in Poland tonight.
What is interesting about that Swedish victory is that all 4 Swedish wins in the tournaments were by shutouts.
That's a great trivia quiz.
Canada, they thought of taking the shot. Elnök, it's underneath Ivanikov, as Elnök was unable to jam it past him on the setup from Latta. Latta faked the shot, slid it across, and Ivanikov made the save.
Elnök did a good job of just controlling the puck. You notice the pass in his skate. He brings it up to his stick, which was a nice job. It would just happen to be the pass a little bit into his feet and behind him. He does a great job. The youngster from Foam Lake, Saskatchewan. I know the town well. Give him credit representing our country. There's Bert Templeton, who's in this tournament with 5 of his players, by the way, that from North Bay. They're playing for USA, Canada, and in coaching the Canadian team.
Probably explains to some extent why those emotions were running so high in that game between Canada and the United States.
One versus the other. Matter of fact, it was one of his players thrown out.
From the face-off, Shesterikov tries to bring it out. It's deflected by Shanahan up into the crowd and out of play. You may notice that the Canadian team is wearing black armbands. and that's in memory of the players with the Swift Current Broncos who were killed in that tragic bus accident on New Year's Eve.
An absolute tragedy, a tragedy beyond description, Don. I know the world is full of tragedies, but those of us involved with this sport and the vibrant young men that play it find this tragedy most difficult to accept. And so to the families, Don, from those of us and yourself and myself, and those of us in the sport, and especially in the Canadian Major Junior Hockey League, I want to express our deepest and most sincere sympathy.
Penalty coming up. And the Canadian squad will have a manpower advantage for the first time in the game. Galchenyuk going off. A slashing call. No, make that Malakoff going off to the penalty box.
Malakoff, who plays for the Moscow Spartak, and there's the World Championship puck that somebody has got a souvenir for, and you won't get it from him either, I'll tell you that, no matter what you want to give him. Now, we're going to get a look at the specialty team from the other side. Now we're going to look at the power play and their man advantage. They've done such an outstanding job shorthanded. Now they got a chance to really take a commanding lead here.
And right now, when we talked about the Swift Current Bronco car accident, they are observing a moment of silence here in the Piastani Stadium.
Po swojej wlasti.
Silence for those Swift Current players, 16-year-old Brent Ruff of Warburg, Trent Pressey of Kindersley, Scott Kruger of Swift Current, and Chris Mantika of Saskatoon, who were so tragically killed in that accident on New Year's Eve. A moment of silence observed here in the Piastani Zimini Stadium.
Not only the deepest sympathy from the whole country, as you pointed out, Team Canada here is wearing that black armband in deep respect.
Canada trying to set up as Hoggood now comes out of his own zone, in across the line, firing it in deep. McElwain unable to get it back to the point, but Wesley was able to keep it in. McElwain saved by the goaltender, Ivanikoff, and I don't really think he knew that he caught a piece of that puck as it slid underneath him. Canada trying to center it. Latta behind the goal, kicks it free for McElwain. McElwain to Elnuck. They play it behind the net. A lot of room on these European ice surfaces behind the goal, and the Canadian team trying to move it around back there and set it up. Elnuck gets it again for McElwain. To the point now for Wesley. Wesley gives it to McElwain. Back to Wesley. Wesley over to the other side. Shot by Hoggood just wide.
And gets good puck control offensively. And Dave McElwain enforcing the puck in the corner. They get really good puck control and move the puck out to get that good opportunity.
Great pass by Wesley and the save by Ivanikoff. And Wesley started out from his own end and went right around the Soviet defenders at the Russian blue line.
We've watched that young man, Glenn Wesley. We're zeroing in on him. Thanks for our cameraman and our director. There he is going to the bench. He's had some great individual efforts. The boy from Portland Winterhawks. He's not been drafted. And we talked about all the Russians are drooling over. Just a minute. This guy here, there we got him right there again on the bench. He has had an outstanding tournament.
The stock, as we mentioned, of a number of these young players has certainly risen on the basis of their performance in this tournament.
Without question.
Conversely, Pierre Turgeon, who came into this tournament touted as probably a cinch to be the number one draft choice right now in the eyes of many of the scouts, might no longer be number one.
Without no question, and I can use that word without question, but he's not had a good tournament. I think if you ask him about it, he'll tell you that himself.
Well, Turgeon is out there right now, along with Stefan Waugh and Brendan Shanahan. Fedorov as the Soviets almost set something up while they were shorthanded. Fedorov is the youngest player in the tournament. He just turned 17. He's number 9 for the Soviets on December the 13th. Loose puck in the center ice area. Fired in on the right side for Nemeth. Nemeth puts on the brakes, trying to set it up. Out front into the slot. Oh, hit the post. Nemeth again, shot right on. The rebound as they try and pick it out. Nemeth gets it back to the point, and Hudson couldn't keep it in. The Soviets back to full strength, and there's a whistle on the play. A penalty coming up here.
There's Sylvain Turgeon. We got him right there. There's a penalty coming to the Russians again for a dump play. Turgeon was put out there right now for Bert with that power play to use his great offensive skill, and as a matter of fact, created some opportunities because he is a brilliant offensive player. And the guy that's touted number 2 before, the number 18, just on the bench there too. The cameraman got a shot at both of them. Those guys were the 2 reported guys, 1 and 2 in the country, Don.
Popov drawing the penalty for splashing at 3:02. So Canada will enjoy another power play. They came so close on their previous opportunity. They lead by a score of 3-1. Play broken up in the center ice area, fired back into the Canadian zone. Hoggood retreats after it. Hoggood, a native of St. Albert, Alberta. He plays for Kamloops of the Western Junior League and was drafted in the 10th round by Boston. Clearing pass, intercepted by Canada. Gets in. Elnuk back to the point for Hoggood. And then the Soviets break it up and deflect it out to the center ice area. Hoggood trying to set things up for Team Canada. He shoots it in. 1:06 remaining in the penalty. Soviets unable to clear. Joseph keeps it in at the point. Back to the line. Joseph takes the shot right at the goal mouth. And Ivanikov managed to keep that one out. Canada pressuring the Soviets. Here's the Hoggood at the other point. Playing it back at the net. Out front for Latta. He had to go back to the goal. They try and center it, and McElwain gets it to the point. Hoggood sliding it in for McElwain. He has difficulty controlling it. He's taken in against the board by Konstantinov, and they hold it for a face-off.
Hey, the big thing you want is the good opportunities, the real good opportunities. There's Hoggood, who's got to keep some key goals and a good offensive player. But what we got to talk about this specialty team in the power play is to get the good chances. If you don't get the good chances, sure, the puck didn't go in the net. One of the 2 power plays, they've had 3 or 4 good scoring chances, Don. That's all you can ask for.
Well, Canada jumped into the 3-1 first period lead, and Bert Templeton's squad has had a lot of jump in this second period as well.
Dominated the play, without no question about it. Dominating the play so far.
Turgeon is out there now. Shanahan is there on the wing along with Stefan Waugh. Back to the goal for Turgeon. Turgeon to Waugh in the other corner. Had difficulty controlling it. Gets it back to Turgeon to the point. He was looking for Chazon. It slid past him all the way down the ice, and that will run out the power play. So 2 penalties against the Soviets to start the second period, but Canada unable to add to its 3-1 advantage. Nemeth makes the shot, and Turgeon was standing right there, couldn't deflect it. In front for Nemeth, he couldn't get the shot away. Turgeon pulls the tree. A shot bounces off a leg, off the stick of Shanahan. Turgeon gets it again. Turgeon in the corner, having trouble there with Sigurov. They tie it up for a face-off.
And Pierre Turgeon is brilliant offensively. He's got great sight, great vision. Literally knows where everybody is on the ice when he's got it. It's not only his skill in the way he handles the puck. He certainly knows where everyone is, and more than just a credible hockey player, and you can see why he got those ratings.
Well, he too is just 17 years of age. He won't celebrate his 18th birthday until August, but he is eligible, of course, for the 1987 amateur draft. He plays for Granby. He hasn't had a lot of ice time here at the World Junior Championships, but there is no doubt he does possess some skill. A good shot is blocked. Here's a 2-on-1 break. Zelepukin coming in. Wesley did a good job of getting back to knock it away from him. Dumped down the ice, a race for the loose puck. Picked up by Sanipass, and it's called an offside pass by Canada. We'll return right after this. Play just underway. Wesley keeps it in the Soviet zone. Picked up in the corner by Kostichkin. He takes a hit from Fleury. Fleury may only be 5'10" and 160 pounds, but he certainly throws his weight around, and now he and Monanikov are pushing and shoving. And then Sanipass gets involved with Popov. And there are a number of minor brush fires that flare up, and they're quickly extinguished, although Fleury is still involved over there with Monanikov.
There's some emotion flowing there, you know. I think that cooler heads got to prevail, because now there's been some penalties called and so forth, and we can't afford foolish things. We got good control of the scheme so far now, and go in and make the hits and play the tough hockey that's required. But it's no time now to do. There's got to be some good mental preparation. It's not how well you prepare strategically on the ice. You got to prepare yourself emotionally and strategically off the ice too.
Penalties are going to be assessed against both teams, and I recall when Terry Simpson coached the Canadian team to a gold medal in 1985, and you were the general manager. One thing the two of you stressed was action penalties, but not reaction penalties.
Feel very strong about that. If they're good hard-working penalties, you can kill those off. It's the reaction stuff that gets you in trouble.
We have a slight delay here, so while we take a look, we'll be back right after this message. He is still standing at that Canadian bench. Penalties are going to be assessed, but so far there has been no indication as to who they are against or what they are for.
I know that the Russian team has taken some exception to it. And remember that they got a delay of game penalty called on them when we were watching them previously in the tournament, and I guess it's a question of proper communication here and getting it clarified.
Hans Ronning of Norway is the referee. And he's been letting them go, letting them get away with quite a bit in this game.
One of the things they're talking about, we got a shot right off the Canadian bench. Of course, the curvature of their blade is within regulation. A lot of the European teams, you get a look at a lot of the European teams, and the curvature looks like a banana. And compared to our blades, because we fall within the particular legislation. Now, it's also considered ungentlemanly, Don, if you call that curved stick, say you're not supposed to do it. But hey, a rule is a rule as far as we're concerned. I know, Simpson, you called that when we were involved in the tournament 2 years ago, and they were very upset about it. But the fact remains is, if there's a rule, call it.
Well, double minors have been assessed against both teams. Fleury and Sanipass are off for Canada, Popov and Monanikov for the Soviet Union.
That bothers me a little bit, because I don't like the Russians to have all that ice surface and only 3 people. We're a little used to the NHL rule, you know what I mean, here. It's a little different situation in international hockey. Normally when we see something like that, we'd see 5 against 5. Is that a choir here that's going to serenade us, or is that one of the hockey teams, Don?
Well, I think in all likelihood that is one of the hockey teams, because the closing ceremonies for the tournament will take place here at the Zimny Stadium in Piastany. And the teams that played earlier had sufficient travel time to move from Topolchany, Trenchant, or Nitra to Piastany for the windup. So they're playing 3 skaters against 3. Off the clock, coming in with Takeoff. Good move to knock it away from him by the Canadian player, Wesley. Now Canada starts up. Wesley goes cross ice to Hoggood. Also out there is McElwain. Hoggood moved in across the line, but McElwain was ahead of the play.
You take a look at that time, it's a little hard to figure, but it isn't. The time is counted up here, and the penalty minutes are counted down. So I'm glad you're calling the play-by-play down, because I'd have it all mixed up, and I wouldn't know if there's 1:26 left in the period and 6:36 in the penalty, or what goes on.
But when it comes to discovering crystal shops, you are the leader among all visitors to Czechoslovakia. 3 skaters against 3. Canada leading by a score of 3-1. David Lobb with a couple of good moves. Back of the net. Moving out front. Saved by away. The team was allowed to come from behind the net and try to jam it in. Now the Canadian team having some problems in this 3 against 3 situation.
Yeah, too much ice surface, and those 3 players on the ice, Ossipov and David Opp, are highly skilled, world-class players, and you don't want to give them some ice time.
Nemeth takes the back of the net. There's going to be a penalty here.
David Opp, I think David Opp's going to get some slashing. A little sarcasm by the Canadian players waving goodbye to them. I want to talk a little bit, if I got a second here, on this David Opp. He's a world-class player. And you notice when he come around and try to poke it, he is quick. Don, this guy runs the half minute in 22 seconds.
The half mile.
No, the half minute, 22 seconds. Runs the half minute in 22 seconds. That's quick, isn't it? I mean, when you can do that, that's quick. We just got a shot at that. When you give him that ice time and that ice surface, he's going to do something with it. Hey, they need one more for Bridge in the penalty box on the Russian bench.
Canada leading by a score of 3-1. We're at the 7:25 mark of this second period. All the scoring so far in the first period.
There's Vasilov now taking a look here and expressing some disgust, I guess. We won't see the shorthanded here for some time here. How does that clock work again, Don?
Well, the period time counts up to 20 minutes. The penalty minutes count down from 2 minutes. And, of course, in European rinks, when they do whistle and jeer, they are not pleased with what is... 3 skaters against 3, and then Canada will get the man advantage. Back at the line, Smirnov keeps it in for the Soviets. Knocked down by Canada, now they break up. 2-on-1, a pass over on the right side. Huffman going in, slides it over, and it bounces over the stick of McElwain. Smirnov behind his own goal on these big European ice surfaces. A lot of room. Canada out of the penalty box. Fleury tried to step around Smirnov, knocked away from him. Canada now enjoying a man advantage for 1 minute and 50 seconds. Monaenkov loses it at the line, and Chazon starts back for Canada. Lead pass off the stick of Latta. He was unable to control it. Latta has scored the other Canadian goal, an unassisted tally in the first period. Back of the Soviet net, they tie it up for a face-off. The whistle, very quick in this international junior tournament.
Very, very quick whistle, and we talked about it in our previous telecast. I guess they're trying to avoid injury, and there'd be a lot of delay games if we were watching an NHL game right now. Jimmy Waite there cleaning his crease, very cool, very calm. Hasn't had a lot of work this period, but he was true to the test there by David Opp just earlier.
Theron Fleury, who has scored 2 goals for the Canadian team. 1:32 remaining in the man advantage. Canada has to begin cashing in on these power plays. They had 2 earlier in the period.
An emotional change if they don't, because the Russians will feel that they can take those penalties.
Back at the line. Wesley slides it into Elnick. Elnick trying to get it back to the point to Wesley. He does. Now it's McElwain trying to bang it off the boards, looking for Latta, but it's intercepted by the Soviets, and they play it down the ice. 1:10 remaining in the penalty. Canada to the attack. on the right side for McIlwain. He had to stop and put on the brakes, and the Canadians regroup in the neutral zone. Hoggood having some problems, loses it to Chestarita. Quick shot just wide. And there's another whistle and a penalty call now coming up against Canada.
There's a penalty after the play, too, behind the play. There's the equipment manager, Wally, and there he is with that pancake better. He's not cooking pancakes now, boy, but he's as hot as a pancake. You can be sure of that. That was quite a scene that the camera people caught when they were having that. How come we didn't get any of that? That's what I want to know. As a matter of fact, you don't need any. You don't need any of those pancakes, Don. I don't want you eating any of that. Your wife sees you, she won't recognize you anyway.
Well, we'll see. Wally Tabamer directing the chefs in the kitchen of the Canadian team's hotel at breakfast yesterday morning during our second intermission. So 1:52 in the Canadian penalty, 42 seconds remaining in the Soviet penalty. Nemeth in the corner, doing a good job of controlling it. Back to the line, runs away from Huffman, and all the way back into the Canadian zone. Hoggood with a 2-minute penalty for holding coming at 9:15. Lead pass too far for Nemeth. Great opportunity, and walked in. Ivanikov with a quick glove hand to prevent a fourth Canadian goal.
We've seen a couple big glove saves here. Now take a look at, Shanahan can snipe too, boy. He's a player. He knows. He looks at that spot. He's got to look up there, and it's labeled too. Big time save. We've seen both goaltenders make big time glove saves, and I'll tell you what, Brendan's talking to himself a little bit right now, but give some credit to Ivanikov. He made a big save. That was a game turner maybe, too, Don. That's a crucial save, and at the same time a crucial goal for the Canucks.
We're approaching the midpoint of the second period. In just 10 seconds, the Soviets will have a power play. A shot from the point goes wide. Osipov in his own zone. He goes rink wide to Malikov. The Soviets now at full strength. Pass intercepted by Lata, and he dumps it back into the Soviet zone. Osipov tries it again to Kirsch. Kirsch with a drop pass. Shot off the crossbar. That deflects high and out of play.
Well, that's the old crossbar in the goalpost, the goalie's best friend when you're playing this game, and there's just no question about that. But in the meantime, it was deflected off his glove. He got his glove on it first, and that's what's important. I can't ever recall, for all the time I've been involved in international hockey and World Championship hockey, to see a Russian team make so many defensive mistakes, Don. I know you've called a lot of games. I doubt you've seen it at all either.
We certainly aren't used to seeing sloppy play inside the Soviet zone.
That's the best description.
Konstantinov back to his own line. Lead pass for Kirsch. Kirsch trying to drop it again to the point. Malikov manages to keep it in, but the Canadians succeed in driving it out, although it was deflected over the boards and out of play, actually into the Canadian bench. And at the Canadian bench, that's the team doctor, Mark Aubry from Ottawa.
He's been fairly busy, maybe I guess from a medical standpoint, you might suggest that they were minor injuries, but they're not minor when you're running a hockey team as coach, and you want those guys back out on the ice.
This Canadian team, by the way, will be leaving after the victory dinner tonight. The wind-up to the tournament by bus for Vienna. And then they will be taking an early morning flight back to Canada. And now some pushing and jumping, and Dikov comes charging in. Hoffman is there for Canada along with McIlwain.
Come on, Chase. That's it.
I was just noting a scouting report on Davidoff when we were talking about it just today, and they said he holds his temper real well. I don't know who wrote that report, but he's a fiery kid, that guy.
maybe the same individual who wrote the report in 1972 that Tretiak was the weak spot in Soviet goaltending.
Yeah, that's a good point. You were talking about this young Canadian team, apparently, and I think it's a statistic that you came up with, which is that's what makes you so good at what you do, that you find these little things. I think there's 11 Canadian players, didn't you say, are eligible to return for the next championship, which is a year away. And I think that's pretty authentic too. So this is a fairly young team. And when you talk about 17-year-olds, that's a history lesson for you. I'm surprised you can think back that far, Don.
Well, there are double minors. Davidoff of the Soviets, Lada of Canada for roughing. That comes at 10:51. Shesterikov leaves it there for Smirnov. Canada leading by a score of 3-1. A Canadian victory by 5 goals will assure Canada of the gold medal. Shesterikov back in the net. As we have pointed out many times, lots of room behind the goal. Ziggler! Shot by Ziggler as he got the puck back at the point. It's 3-2.
Almost every coach will tell you, when you get the puck from the point, shoot it low. It's hard for the goalie to pick it up. You're there for the rebounds or the deflections. Low shot right between his legs. He had a tough time picking it up. There's a lot of action in front of him. Now they get control of the puck behind the net. Take a look here. You can see it very clearly. Right back to the point. He sets it up. Now take a look at the action in front of Jimmy Waite. He's got to get that guy out of the way. It's a low shot. Hey, that's Jimmy Waite's fault. I mean, that's exactly what you teach the defenseman to do, where to shoot the puck, and it's tough for a goalie to play.
I think Kostitkin may have deflected that shot. Now, Shesterikov and Kostitkin come in again. The puck loose in that Canadian zone. Finally, Canada gains possession, and they start back. Ziggler stops the Canadian player, Elnick, with a body check in the center ice area. 11:34 is the time gone by in the second period. 3-2, Canada leading the Soviets. Dumped into the corner to Nemeth. Nemeth goes cross ice for Chason. Chason was knocked down, couldn't control it. Konstantinov to Kostitkin. Pass bounces off the leg, and the Soviets move back into their own zone.
Picks the goal up in that top corner like he did it against the Americans. Another giveaway. That is backtracking. We call it technically regrouping and going into your secondary. They're doing too much that regrouping. We've caught them a number of times. Now take a look. He picks that puck up. There he goes, delivered. That sucker's going. I'll tell you something, boy. It's the quicker than the eye can see almost. Say goodnight. It's 4-2 and a big goal. Because there was a little bit of a lull on the Canadian side after the Russians got here. We see it again. Another giveaway. And there it is. We're going to see it. That's in the net, man. He doesn't have a chance.
Undeterred by the glove save Ivanikov made a couple of minutes ago on Brendan Shanahan. Nemeth went to the glove side, but did he put something on that one as he whistled it high just under the crossbar? As you said, reminiscent of the goal he scored in the victory, the 6-2 triumph over the United States.
We go right back to what you said. There's no better description. Just sloppy play by the Russians. Don't say anything else.
The 5th goal of the tournament for Nemeth. In the neutral zone, Zelepukin fires it over on the right side. Poligny trying to get a shot away. He was tied up. And the puck brought out to the line and deflected over the glass and out of play.
There'll be a lot of ice packs, I'll tell you, on that bus. First of all, those kids won't get any sleep because they're going directly back. And I know how you and I had a touch of the flu today, and I know what that would do if we had to be up all night like they're going to be. But there'll be a lot of ice packs strapped to their bodies. But I'll tell you something. If they got the gold medal around their neck, they won't even feel the bruises. You can be sure of that.
Well, Steve Nemeth will be heading home already with a silver medal from the Izvestia tournament. He has not been home since the Izvestia tournament as he came directly to Czechoslovakia to join the Canadian junior team. So he would love to head back with both the gold and the silver. From the face-off, a shot right on. Waite makes the save as Hoggood and Osipov do some shoving in front of the net.
You know, we're talking about Nemeth from the Olympic team, and it's nice to see he's a delightful young man that we got to meet. You know, never complains, just goes out there and works so hard. It's been such a key. You know, we've talked about the other players. There's Zalapsky that's on that Olympic team that was eligible to play here. There's the goaltender Birkin, as it happened. Now Jimmy Waite's come up big, but they had a goaltender hurt in Simpson, and you know, it's the old protecting empires, you know what I mean? And it's the same thing in the NHL. Everybody protects their own empire. The difference is that when you see this Russian team, they got their best here. The European team, they got 10 elite players, the best players they could possibly get under 20 years old playing. And the simple fact is, this isn't an excuse. Canada doesn't.
There are many who would have dearly loved to have seen Zalapsky in particular playing in this tournament. He was voted the best player in the Investor tournament, and that's quite an accomplishment. Here's Canada in across the line again. Nemeth with a shot, and it's blocked. Konstantinov dropped in front of that one. The two penalized players, Vlada and Davidoff, out of the penalty box. Oh, what a hit there! And Konstantinov was sent flying. Hoggood stepped into him. He had his head down, and Hoggood really caught him. Now the Soviets to the attack again. Davidoff, drop pass. Osipov, block save by Jimmy Waite. As he got a piece of it, the Canadians clear the zone. Konstantinov has to wait for his teammates to get back on side before feathering that pass over to Davidoff, who is forced back into his own zone. Into the neutral zone now. Zelepukin across the line, trying to go around Joseph. The puck goes back to the net. Chazon plays it around on the boards and out. Dumped back in offside by the Soviets. We'll return to our live coverage from Piastani right after we pause for this message. Well, we had a real skirmish just moments ago following a face-off. It all started when Sanchez and Testarikov collided. Now the Soviets have got their helmets on, and Sanchez and Testarikov are going at it. The Soviets slammed away to each other, and they're going to be gone. Now we have to hurry. I think that Joseph with a player on the other side. You don't see this in international hockey. You don't see players getting their helmets off and fighting for the fight. Out of that again. Now it's he's going out with Zelepukin, Fleury, and Konstantinov got it. Oh, and he never throws it. He has the Soviet player, and now Sanchez is back at it again. Sanchez is running. He is the player that's big on. It's the Soviet. Where did they see this in international play? There's Sanchez.
I mean, they're doing the thing that this is unbelievable. There's two guys on the Canadian player here. There's two guys on him.
And now one of the Soviet players. Oh, Smirnov just beat one of the Canadian players. In the neutral zone, the goaltenders are now going at it.
This is unbelievable. This has never been seen in
International hockey. When these players are going at it.
Well, these are going
Even the goaltenders are fighting. John Simpson has goaltender down. And there's no way to restore order here.
There's absolutely no way. As a matter of fact, they don't know how to deal with it even.
They don't know how to deal with a situation like this.
Huh. This is an unbelievable scene.
Players are trying to maintain order. He has the backup goaltender down. This all started with Sanchez and his set on Testarikov. I don't know how they're going to players first continue this game because in international hockey, according to the rules, this is not permitted.
is far from over yet.
Ready to go at it. And now Sanitas comes in. He's ready to go with anybody. Sanitas hasn't even removed his glove. He's hitting anybody around. He's delivering blood on.
This is far from over now. They're putting the lights down.
Now Elvis is involved with Konstantinov. They're trying to turn the lights off and they turn them off.
They have turned the lights on in order to control the play. The referees are going
But
on
that's
the
not
ice
going to
line.
solve anything. They turned the lights off in the arena, but that isn't going to solve anything. They're still fighting. I've never seen anything like this. Even in the National Hockey League, I can't recall as many real fights taking place. Most times, it is just a pushing and shoving battle. But right here, they are flailing away at each other. Everybody paired off. Usually, you see them grabbing each other and just hanging on. But not here. They paired off and they really went at it. So Steve Nimitz is trying to get the players back to position. Now, they might just have to call it.
Yes, there's no question about it. There's utter pandemonium out here. Complete disorganization.
The officials have left the ice. The officials have gone off the ice. The ice, of course, is littered with equipment.
Now,
And the fans here in the building are shouting, "We want hockey."
it's going to take some complete reorganization. There'll be some committee work going on at some meetings. I see the officials down there now in the penalty box area are calling for the officials of the tournament as to how to deal with it. You'll notice the clock shut off. The clock shut off and set back to 0.
Now, I don't know which team was the first to leave the bench. I was watching the action down in the corner involving Sanitas, but I think Canada, they have been the first off the bench.
No, I don't want to sound like a homer, but I think when the fight was on, the one Russian player jumped out over, and he was just about 4 or 5 feet, was on the ice at least, and then the Canadians came.
Well, one Soviet player may have been the first on the ice, but the entire Canadian bench then came out.
The fans are yelling, no, hockey, hockey, hockey. And it's interesting how they specifically deal with this problem. Now, there's no officials on the ice to handle it.
The officials went off the ice. Fortunately, the players themselves stopped the fighting, and now they are going to the bench. Now, I don't know what the international rule book calls for in this situation. It's never happened.
No, as a matter of fact, I think there's going to be some decisions after, because based on the fighting rules you talked about, Don, if there's a fighting rule, hey, they all have to go. I know Steve Nimitz just went in where the referees are to get the referees.
I wouldn't be surprised if the game is over. I wouldn't be at all surprised if the game is called.
Well, I know that there's no question that they're going to, if this is held in international rules and international pros held and discussed, and without question, this is a precedent that we've never seen. I see Steve Nimitz is coming back now after talking to the officials and the referee, and we'll get some kind of a position on it.
Well, we have to wait and see what the decision is going to be. The officials have not yet returned to the ice.
So, the interesting thing is that those of us from Canada are even as overwhelmed as anybody here, because we weren't expecting it. You're never going to expect it and never expect to see it. It'll be interesting to see how they deal with it.
Hoggood has gone off to the dressing room. The players trying to sort out their equipment. But something like this has just never happened in international hockey.
No
The
question.
other night in the game between Canada and the U.S., when the Canadian player Chazon was ejected along with Hartman of the U.S. team, they were suspended for one game. Now the players are